This is an audio test. The password is vote. The password is vote.
And now, breaking news live from the Man Cave, Studio B, deep in the heart of constitutional Livingston County, Michigan. This is a Monday night conversation exposing corruption with our favorite two lawyers, Kristina Lyke, our next representative, and Dan Wholihan. With your ever-present earwig, the real Tim Allen. And yours truly, Larry Parsons. This is My Brain. And now your host, Jeremy Scott Gibbs. Oh, let's hear the applause. Just wait for it. No cats were injured during production of this.
There's going to be a cat runoff. I don't even know. Yeah.
This man cave shot looks like.
Dude, it looks like it's.
The War of the Worlds, where all the red stuff.
It's rotoscoped.
Rotoscoped.
It's rotoscoped.
All right,
All right. I gotta...
Hello, guests. Say hello, guests. To your camera.
Hello. 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 How's our audio? Check. My ears are sounding a little hollow, but that's nothing new.
Am I on the air?
You know what, Larry? I hope you're on the air. You should probably breathe. You can go 5 minutes without breathing. You can go 5 days without water, and you can go 50 days without food. And then, unless you're a breatharian, you're dead.
Was it Sergio, Nigel, whatever his name is on the air?
Nigel.
Burgess.
Oh, from the abyss.
Yeah.
Virgil Brigman.
Virgil Brigman.
Back on the air. You guys got to watch The Abyss. That's a awesome.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen
The
it.
old movie, The Abyss?
Yeah, dude.
Like from a long time ago?
Yeah. With It's
That's a really good movie.
a really good movie. A lot of great people.
With
It
the
was
space,
one of
space creatures down at the bottom of the ocean.
yeah.
Or the
Extra. We
platform?
say extraterrestrials because they could be outside the ice wall, not from the fictional universe type thing.
Oh, wow.
That's
right. I forgot it's a flat world.
See,
I'd seen there's ice
Clary,
walls
I'm trying to keep
before.
you posted on
Yeah,
all the latest developments.
I wasn't keeping up on my libtard
Yeah,
history.
that's not libtard. That's
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris and Mary Master Antonia. Her middle name was weird.
Elizabeth,
Yeah.
Mary Elizabeth.
Kristina, like Dan Wholihan, hot off of knocking doors tonight. How many doors did you knock today?
I don't know.
You lose count.
So many. And I'll tell you
Losing
what, they appreciated us door knocking.
We cleared a subdivision. We hit a lawn street that from township line to its end, basically.
Yeah, we were in Heartland today.
I'm partial to
I've been
Heartland.
there.
Have you?
Larry's somewhat partial to Heartland.
I do.
I mean, he's you know,
I think somebody stopped at my house.
He's kinda
in
there.
Heartland and
Yeah.
put their sign in front of my
in front of your yard. I hear somebody pulling. Oh, Vince is stopping by. I told him to be quiet when he comes in. That's my son down there.
Oh, okay.
He's like, Dad, I'm stopping by.
Yeah,
I'm like,
we like Vince.
we're doing podcasts, man. You might want to shut up. I'm gonna do this. I'm trying to pull this in, Kristina. Is there any way to send it to me on Messenger? Because I'm trying to copy and paste it and send it the video you want us to play, or is it available online?
Well, it's available on my Facebook.
Yeah, can you direct message it to me and I'll pull it up right away because that's how you want to start it. But welcome everybody in the chat. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight on a Monday night. I know some of you are tuning in to see what kind of dirt is going to be flung, but that's not where our agenda is. Live an honorable life, do what's right, and I mean it's scriptural, right?
Be who you are.
Be who you are. Be above board. Own your mistakes. Own your situations, right? And no big deal. When you enter into the political arena, I said it last night. What? I said it the other night. I think it was last night. You know, there's a number of people there's two types of people that do politics. People who genuinely want to represent somebody, and then the other side. And the other side has two dynamics in it: ego or money.
Or both.
Sometimes both. Ego and money. I want my ego stroked. I'm a good guy. I'm great. You know why my podcast isn't reaching millions up after 4.5 years of doing this podcast? Because I don't want my ego stroked. I just want to share my thoughts and opinions. If I wanted my ego stroked, we could have a whole team here pushing out all the You know what? I choose to be a podcast that will grow organically. And when you tune in, you're tuning in because you want to hear what I, as a host, have to say and what my guests have to contribute to the conversation. That's my dynamic. If we're discussing politics, if we're discussing health, if we're discussing religion, if we're discussing life, whatever it is, you're tuning in for that, an authentic expression of people. We have to make sure that we don't have live microphones like we had last night because we're talking. They can't accuse us of something because we're talking the same way we would off camera for the most part. At least there's no deception there. We might restrain from saying somebody's name on camera, but when we get on camera, we'll be cautious to not mention a name. But the topics, the truth, the sentiments, the ideas are still the same because we're genuine people. So I want to welcome everybody out there to This Is My Brain podcast on a Monday night special because Kristina's like, she's like, I can drop in on Sunday night. I'm like, I got Shane and I got Anthony coming in. I said, you know what? How about Monday? The day before the primaries.
And you know what? Thank you so much for fitting us in.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Very appreciative of you guys.
Absolutely.
Both of you.
Thank you guys all for tuning. If you're tuning in tonight, I see a number of you are
Thank you.
tuning in. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on there. You sent that to me. Did you get it to me? I was rambling while you're doing this. Okay. I
Sent it
got
by
it pulled up. Let's see if it's going to play properly. There it is. We'll go to notice in just a second. Why is this overshadowed by this? I'm trying to get the video just to. Wow. It just doesn't want to make shit stuff disappear. My bad. Look at how it's, you guys seeing how it's over top? This thing is over top. And
The message?
yeah, well, I'm trying to get to the video. I clicked on the video and it didn't make it. There we go. Okay. It just didn't want to do it. All right. Do I need to unmute?
Two key words in this.
I'm going to get it ready and I'm going to start it.
Wolfie's not on. I got it on the weekend.
Yeah. I'm trying to get the sound. I don't know why the sound's, is the sound not on the board?
I just turned it on.
Okay. You're good. All right. And see it popped up again. Do you see that?
The message? Yeah, click in the message and then reduce it.
There we go.
Not like people know you're doing the show.
It's not like we're doing a show.
husband Dan.
There you
And
go.
this
All
little
right,
guy.
let me
is
restart
Judge.
it. Restart it.
Dan and I
Ready?
both.
Here we go.
My name is Kristina Lyke, and this is my husband Dan.
Finally
And this
figured
little
it out.
guy is Judge.
Even those
Dan and I
adults like
both
us,
grew
like
up in
Judge.
Livingston County,
Judge.
and we live right here in the town of Fowlerville. I am running for state representative to make sure that we protect our county from outside interest and make life more affordable for Livingston County. And with your vote on August 6th, I will protect this county. I'm Kristina Lyke, and I approve this message.
And Judge had to say something.
Absolutely.
Of course, Judge had to say something.
So the
Did
reason
he
why I
charge
asked,
you for that part?
what's that?
Did he charge you for that part?
Yeah, greenies.
He did.
Judge was like, I need
Got a
extra
cookie.
treats.
So
Did
the
you
reason,
see that there's a whole law firm of canines that are doing a class action lawsuits against all of these humans who have been given half a treat and acting like it's a whole treat? There's a whole class action lawsuit. I haven't said whole nother show. Continue. Let's do this. Before we dive into it, I wanted to play that because I want to tout your accolades as well as you explaining your position. But before we do that, I want to do the disclaimers real quick. Do you have anything that you guys need to disclaim? Okay, good.
I'm speaking just for me, no other organization
Oh,
tonight.
Dan, I need you to
Right.
calm down on explaining yourself. I just froze up, Tim.
We might.
Do you have it over there?
froze what? What?
My whole computer just froze. It's not moving.
Oh, do I have the disclaimer?
Do you have the disclaimer?
I think I have a copy in the.
All right. We played the video, so we're good on that. So I may not even have to do this.
Media 2. I can pull it up this way.
There you go.
Yep.
Yep. Let's do that.
Yeah. I can do it that way.
We always got to give the disclaimers because somebody might be tuning in tonight
That's true.
that
That's true. Media 2 is.
you get their panties in. Wait,
Oh,
what is
I'm
that?
sorry. That's not Media 2.
Is that Mount Trumpmore?
Oh, that is the Mount Trumpmore.
Mount Trumpmore.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Oh, that's
that
right.
was planned.
It's on the.
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
aren't seeing it over there.
Mount Trumpmore. I forgot that was actually a plan. In the
Yeah,
works.
Mount Trumpmore.
Yeah.
There it
That's-
is.
That's the wrong button. Oops. Sorry about that.
He's got the fight
Yeah, you
fist
got
up
the
by his
fist
head.
up there and everything.
It's
Fist
pretty
and everything.
powerful.
That's
I mean,
No,
all
that's
right.
not the
Give us
button
our
I meant.
disclaimer so we can dive into this because the hour is already
the
late,
button I meant to do. Oh, I'm
and we
sorry.
got to get this.
Yes,
stuff
I mean our disclaimer is the the opinions and message of these two lawyers may not be that of the opinions and message of This Is My Brain.
I probably think it is,
Might have,
but
anyway, notice.
Yeah.
But because this podcast is mostly raw and unfiltered and completely politically incorrect, we say Merry Christmas and the Pledge of Allegiance, especially the part about that one nation under God. We like that. We dig that.
that's kind of a
We
thing.
get down with that.
Yeah,
Jiggy
that's
with
good.
it. We thank our troops for their service. Thank you, Larry, at the table.
Thank you, Larry, at the
those
table,
who are
and all my
listening.
other
Larry.
vets.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. We only recognize 2 gendars. Which are those?
Dangle and no dangle.
Oh yeah, those are those 2. Yep.
I mean, it's pretty easy to spot. Either you see something or you don't.
Yeah. So, well, and listen,
I mean,
you're a big mic and you're
I had-
dancing around. You might have
Well, I had two boys that I was present during their ultrasounds.
That's true.
Pretty
You can
clear
see
that
there. That's
they're
true.
like you're gonna have
Pretty
a son.
early.
I was like,
Pretty
what? How do
early.
you know that? Well, there's a dangle.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
true.
okay.
That's true.
Two genders.
Well, anyway,
I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
As adults, we do enjoy adult beverages. We had a few things this morning. What everybody drinking? Clinky clink. Nobody's drinking tonight other than
Nobody's drinking tonight.
No, me and
No, water and
okay.
water
Well,
and
I had a
tea.
mini beer and I'm on wine during.
No. This
Yeah.
is a sober
Yeah.
set tonight.
Well, tech department does day drinking on Mondays, and
Oh.
you threw the show at me.
Oh yes,
no,
this is very good.
No,
So you guys
no.
are getting the inside baseball
Okay,
on
yeah,
what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I clean up the counter and I have to touch every bottle, so I have to take a swig of every bottle as I move it when I wipe it down. What's the rest of this? Oh, we cuss. We do not curse or swear. Those are 3 different.
Know the
things.
difference? There it is.
Look those up.
Yep.
We do love our Savior Jesus, but hate the religious and the religious
Religious hypocrites.
hypocresis.
Hypocresis. Yeah, that's the
and,
Greek.
And if any of this disclaimer offends you, we
You
know
should have left by
are.
now,
Put a
but
left by
you're
now.
here, and therefore we're gonna do
You're
this
looking for some
thing.
dirt, and we're gonna
Yeah.
go ahead and dish it.
You know,
So
and I'll give this disclaimer before we dive in fully.
Right.
That I am very averse to. I was raised in an idea of you walk backwards into the tent when Noah exposed himself to his younger son. You covers your brother's sins.
Right. The shame. Yeah.
And so I'm very cautious anytime that we
Air dirty laundry.
air dirty laundry.
Yep. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we don't have to do it at certain times to bring attention
Sure.
to when people are being
Shameful.
shameful, hypocritical.
Shame is
all
a
this
huge
stuff.
part of
And
the
so
society that isn't around anymore.
I love the fact that I have, and I said it off air, so you guys know, jokingly, I said it off air that
You're rebooting that box.
I'm rebooting this box.
Okay, copy that.
That I said it. If we're going to do some exposure of real things with facts, with information, and lay it all on the line,
Do I need my speedo?
I'm glad that I have my two favorite lawyers
Oh yeah.
sitting
that's always
across
good
the
to
table
have.
from me, because if I'm going to be in an environment where we have to go down legal roads, I got the two best people,
There you go.
in the world right here in front of me.
What'd you say
And
about exposure and a speedo earlier?
I did not say anything about exposure in the
Speedo?
speedo. Yeah. Where do you want to start? We played the commercial before my computer froze up and I had to restart it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you playing the commercial, and the reason why we wanted that commercial played,
It worked for 10 seconds.
and it sounded great.
But then you broke the system. You
I
broke
did,
the
I broke it.
establishment.
But the reason why we did that is because it said outside interest.
That's the key to this.
That's the key word,
Right.
right? Outside interest, those two words.
Yeah.
We don't want that in Livingston County.
No.
And when I'm saying that, I'm talking about Lansing,
Mhm.
right? We do not want Lansing in our county. We have such a beautiful county here.
Yeah.
Great people. We just don't want Lansing in our county. We don't want the Lansing politics. We don't want the nightmare of the Lansing politics. And I believe that Dan is going to tell you a little bit more about what's actually been happening in our county lately.
Okay. And isn't it as much of we Donald Trump really brought a focus, or put a lens on the DC swamp. But the reality is almost every single state house is also a big swamp. And Michigan's, we're right. I did not realize how much we were like California and New York, the top three in shutting everybody down and doing these draconian rules, because I was raised around a bunch of
Well, California did it first,
right.
and then we were second.
Yeah.
You know?
Whitmer followed Newsom.
Right.
Exactly. And I'm like, wait a minute. We own more guns here in this state.
And I think it was
Close
like
to,
March
like, Texas.
23rd.
Yeah. The amount of guns we own in this state is only comparable to Texas and Florida. It's like, what are we doing here? As far as being grassroots people that want to be. Dan, bring us into this and explain what Kristina wants to highlight tonight, or get us started.
Well, when you have, I'm going to say, now maybe get to some of these later, local divisions, Lansing finds out about them, they find ways to exploit them.
Okay.
And that's where we have some of the divisions for a while, and then you have what I call proxy battles with Lansing right now. We didn't learn, we being Republicans,
Mhm.
from 2022. What you had leadership do there, and it's going again, is you have Matt Hall, who wants to be Speaker of the House, and you have Matt Maddock,
Yep.
want to be Speaker of the House,
Yep.
and you have candidates from those camps, people recruiting one against another in these primaries. And primaries, I don't have a problem with primaries. They're it's part of politics. You got to win a primary.
Mhm.
Where I do have a problem is when you have a bunch of leadership money and money that's in caucus money, and I'll call friends of the program caucus money. Their job's to get majority. It's not to get majority for Matt Hall or Matt Maddock or anyone else. It's to get majority for the party, so then we don't have Joe Tate as Speaker, which is what we have now. The strategy Matt Hall had last time
Mhm.
was to try and draw an inside straight to say, oh, we're not gonna lose the House. I'll just get enough what I need to get the Speaker. Maybe not care if a couple other seats worth fighting for don't win, because they were likely to be Maddox supporters,
Okay.
and Then they have enough to win, be speaker, and then what happens? 2 unexpected losses, and Joe Tate became the speaker.
So basically, instead of caring about the people,
They care about the political
they
positions.
care about the political positions, the fame, and the glory.
Right.
And we shouldn't be caring about that. We should be caring about the people right here in our district, and out, in other counties too as well.
100%.
Well, one thing we experienced when Mike Detmer ran was that the Senate came in to save Lana Tice, and we had over $1 million in Lana's pocket. Now that's all in. That's not out of Lana's pocket. That's all the PACs coming in and all the endorsements. I estimate a 1.2 million.
A lot of that was DeVos in that
and
case.
the DeVos people, stuff like
There's
that.
a lot of mailers out
So
there.
Mike's $21,000, right? And Mike Stoll garnered what, 46 or 44% of the vote?
I think you're close, 46.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and see, they were so hell bent on beating Mike. That money could have been used on 2 other Senate races that were close races with the Democrats.
Exactly.
And we could have maintained the Senate.
Exactly.
But
Could have helped.
the
Annette Glenn could have helped.
Yeah.
And there's one or 2 others I'm trying to think of, swing seats that
right, but the rhinos in Lansing,
McDonald, that's the one.
yeah,
Not,
the
Mike
rhinos in
McDonald.
Lansing in the House and the Senate are absolutely fine with losing.
Well, and I just want to say this. A lot of people don't know this, but this is a 65% Republican seat here at the 50th district. So why are
heavily red?
Why are we pouring money from the state, from Matt, into our county?
My old district where I lived before I got married was a gerrymandered seat. That's about 48-52. It's winnable in a good year or with a good candidate.
Right.
But it's the one Jason Wolford, ironic,
The 48th.
right now, ran for last time.
Yeah.
And
Oh, before
there
he
should have been
moved,
more help
or-
going in that seat that year.
100%. I actually knocked doors the last cycle
And
for Jason.
Jason probably should have done more himself too. So it's falling on both sides on it. Jason blames caucus.
Yep.
And
Well, I heard
To
there
an
was
extent.
multiple. There was a number of monies not
he's
allocated.
right to an extent
Yep.
on that.
Right.
But there's things that he did wrong too on that.
Right. You know, the interesting thing about the political environment is that we're dealing with imperfect people. Nope, because nobody's perfect,
I was
right?
going to say, where are
Only
the perfect
Jesus.
people?
There are no perfect people. Well, even Jesus was from the dynamic of the book of Hebrews says that once he became perfect,
He had to learn stuff.
it literally says in the book of Hebrews that once he became perfect, not meaning that he was imperfect in his deity, but he had to learn. We all have to experience things, and once you have the experiences, and that's what it says in Hebrews. It literally says it. I can pull up the text and read to you. But the whole point is even Jesus had to learn how to what life was about. That's the whole key, right? In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve went and ate from the tree of knowledge. Well, what did that do? What was the really bad thing about that is they short-circuited experience. And when you go out in life, you experience things. And I find that the most genuine people are the ones that have experienced battling for people, have experienced hardship, have experienced these things. And so we're never going to find a perfect person. But we have to find a person that is genuine, that has had experience in fighting for other people, representing other people. And I found that dynamic with you 100%.
Thank you.
And with Dan as well. But you being a defense attorney, as well as multiple other hats that you've put on in your life, but that's a primary thing for me, is that we all have to learn through the process. I'm 51 going on 52. I'm still learning. I was talking with my oldest son the other night, I'm still learning. And I was sharing with him some of the experiences and things that I have. And so all of this campaigning, you ran before. Jason ran before. Do we learn from that experience, or do we shift and try to find the easy?
Oh no, you learn from your experiences.
100%.
And you learn what not to do, what to do. But I will tell you this, just by campaigning, though, we just have the best people. And I already knew that. But
Yeah.
by knocking on the doors, yesterday, I'll tell you this quick story. Dan and I, his car just went kaplooey. The battery went dead.
Okay.
And 2 voters went and jumped our car for us.
Hell yeah.
And they were just the most wonderful people. And we're a little embarrassed because that happened, and we had Judge with us, of course, too. But the thing of it is, what great people we have in this county when someone is knocking on your door, running for state representative, and they're willing to jump that car. And they were thankful that we showed up at their door too, as well.
Yeah.
And another lady said to me, thank you for bringing inspiration to my door. Thank you for bringing that, because I didn't have that glimmer of hope. And now I have that glimmer of hope. And so,
Yeah.
you know, like I said before, I'm only one person. You got to work with all the state representatives, but I will work hard and tirelessly for people. But as to what was going on, and sorry, Jeremy, I have to disagree with Jesus. He is perfect, but
No, and
go back.
they're saying that in chat. I'm going to pull up this scripture, and I want you to get the context, because people are, it's okay to disagree. But it literally, Tim, I'm not finding the Hebrew quote.
Well, if you want,
It's Hebrews
Right, no,
5 or 6. I'm trying to remember the exact definition.
I'll
So
try
people,
to find
this
it.
was
people
not the
agreed with me, right?
no, a couple people are disagreeing. Jesus was perfect from the beginning. Listen, there's a difference between being without sin
Right,
and going through experiences and learning
right.
about life. There's a huge difference. And so when we say perfected, okay, when I say perfected, I'm coming from a complete and utter biblical standpoint that it says in the book of Hebrews that we all read in our New Testament that Jesus learned perfection through what he suffered, or he learned through what he suffered. And
Obedience
once
is the word. Is Hebrews
learned through
5:8.
obedience, and
Yeah.
once made perfect, he became the source of eternal salvation.
I believe it's
for all who believe.
5:8. I'll try to look.
5:8. Thank
I think
you.
it's 5:8.
So you can disagree with me, but what I'm pointing out is Jesus came as a representative of all of us and demonstrated that you have to go through life and learn. And when you go through life and learn, it tempers you, it trains you, it perfects you.
Well, I will
Doesn't
look it
mean
up
that
in
he
the
was-
Bible
Yeah.
when I get home.
Yeah.
I'll
No,
do
it's
it
not.
now.
That's not the point of the whole thing. But I wanted to pull it up for whatever reason.
And not to correct you, but by the way, your gun statistic was off.
Yes.
It
Oh,
blew
give me
my
that.
mind, by the way. Yeah, looking at.
I forgot about New Hampshire.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, you said Texas and then us. No, we're not even close, dude. Per capita, it goes. Here, let me pull this up real quick. I mean, I know it's kind of off topic, but it just was interesting. Here we go. Let's go. Oh, let me move this sideways so I can put it on screen. Here's our desktop. Guns per capita. Scrolling up. Look at this list. New Mexico, 55.34% registered firearms in the state of New Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah. New Hampshire, Virginia, South Dakota, Idaho, Wyoming, Alabama, Arkansas, Nevada, Alaska, North Dakota, Arizona, Utah, Texas, Louisiana, Montana, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Colorado, Indiana, Connecticut, Maryland. Well, look how far down we are, man.
Yeah.
Literally, we don't until you get down to
I stand corrected.
California, Michigan, Hawaii.
Yeah, I stand corrected.
That's insane.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But on the Hebrew scripture,
Yeah.
I will go to my screen over here. On this one, this is Hebrews 5:7-9, New International Version. During Jesus' life,
Wait. Are you gonna pull it up?
I thought I did.
No. I got wall feed up. It's not there.
Stupid.
It's only the Bible.
Oh, I don't have a projector out. My bad.
What?
I didn't project. I had to restart the computer. I didn't reset the
Yeah.
projector. There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
There we go.
During Jesus' life on earth, he offered up prayers and petitions with fervent cries and tears to the one who could save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverent submission son though he was, he learned obedience from what he suffered, and once made perfect, he became the source of eternal salvation for all who obey him. So if you want to disagree with me when what I said, he learned.
I would like to know.
He learned obedience from what he suffered. So I stand corrected. He learned obedience from what he suffered.
I would like to know what the root of that Greek of suffered is. Next time we do.
I wouldn't have cited it if I hadn't gone through because I understand that we all have to live it a life. You guys are living on a campaign life. This is not my focus, so I'm going to pull back from that. So what are we looking at with this 50th district campaign that you guys want to bring to light? Because we're all living an experience and dealing with things.
We'll start with the outside interest that Kristina mentioned in her commercial. And when I said that the leadership in Lansing hasn't learned from 2022, they're doing this again. And there's a ton of money that was put into this district. And you have, I'm going to throw up first with this mailing here. This one attacked Mr. Wolford for.
Can you give us an overhead on that, Tim?
For things, but I'll just put that here, cover up an address, but keep Michigan first. When I see these things here, I like to look at the address first.
Okay.
Because I thought it was significant that they used the Gaylord address. So I looked up Keep Michigan First. It's a 527. It's not a PAC.
Okay.
This is what's called an issue ad. It looks like a campaign mailer. And to the average person it is. And on the back here, it says contact Jason Wolford and encourage better financial practices, especially with his nonprofit.
So this isn't connected directly with Jason. This is somebody who's.
It's a.
How's this work?
This was done by, like I say, Keep Michigan First. I looked them up.
Okay.
It was registered to a staffer of a congressman up north.
Okay.
And I am 90% sure that this congressman uses Strategic National as a consultant. Lansing campaigns, you have a ton of it's a few consultants that dominate the practice. And this is where a lot of the outside interest is.
Okay.
These consultants they just want to get paid. That's their agenda. And nothing wrong with that agenda. That's their business.
How many millions of dollars were made when Biden dropped out and Kamala got all this?
Oh, someone got paid, but
they're printing flyers, they're doing hats, they're doing commercials.
But
people getting paid.
Strategic National is tight with Matt Hall.
Okay.
So are you seeing some connection here?
So
absolutely.
Matt Hall, you have the same consultant. So I think I don't know this part 100%. But I think basically, hey, can we borrow your 527 for this? They throw money in the 527, so it's not traced easily, or it won't be traced till after election.
Right.
And then they throw out this flyer here at Mr. Wolford's expense that says Keep Michigan First, Gaylord, Michigan, and their interest is to get Matt Hall majority.
Yeah.
And Matt Hall wants Bob Azat to win. Bob Azat owes Matt Hall big because Matt Hall's PACs dumped $30,000 in his campaign because of to pay for the legal fees because Bob falsified his statement on affidavit identity. So they brought in the big law to come in and try and get him back on the ballot.
Okay.
And that's ended up succeeding. At the time, we did not appeal this.
So we're looking at somebody who's contributing
reasons,
both to Jason and to Bob. Is that what we're looking at? Is that what you guys are saying?
It's different people, but it's still Lansing.
But it's still Lansing, the swamp.
It's
because we have two people competing, and they want the floor leader. Want to be floor leader, or excuse me, Speaker of the House. It's been a long day.
They want the Speaker of the House. And the bottom line is they want people to get elected in the various districts that they can either have influence or control over.
They want the first vote.
They want their vote.
Or I'd say two of the first votes. One's rules. Senator Runstead is pushing some rules reforms for the House. I think is a very good idea. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, I think, but
Trouble
I
with
don't
who?
care.
Because we like Jim.
Not with Jim, but the other rule is with speaker. It's the first main vote is the vote for speaker,
Mhm.
and that's the big power. Speaker controls what goes on the floor.
After November, the first session that we would have in January, correct?
Very first vote.
The very first vote after we go through, we're going through the primaries
big
tomorrow, finalizing the primaries tomorrow. Hopefully, if the Democrats don't stand it out for another week with their votes. But after tomorrow's primary vote, then we'll go to the general in November. And then when the next Congress in Michigan is seated in January, the very first votes, what you're saying, will be
Very first votes will be for speaker.
Okay.
And if Bob Bazat wins, he's voting for Matt Hall.
Okay.
That's why Matt Hall is supporting.
Go ahead, Christine. What were you going to say?
Well, we don't call it Congress, but
The House. The House.
Yeah.
State House.
Because Congress is
my
DC.
My bad.
And
Thank you, Counselor, for
You're welcome.
clarifying.
so you have a bunch of other, I don't have them with me, other mailers that were 5 or 6 of them, I think, or
So these are
For
not even
Bob,
from the
these are
individual
for-
campaigns. These
no.
are from people that are trying to bring
some
influence.
for Bob Bazat. They're positive for Bob under the name Building a Better Michigan.
Yeah.
And I looked up their 520. That's also a 527, I believe. Might have been a 501c4. It's one or the other.
It gets convoluted at a certain point, doesn't it?
I looked it up with the IRS.
Yeah.
And it was from a Strategic National, someone that's worked with Strategic National, someone that worked with Brian Calley, who was a Strategic National client.
Okay.
So I saw.
All right. So you're throwing out a lot of concepts and a lot of ideas for everybody out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I
break
needed
it.
a
Let's break it down and
clarifying
clarify. So we're looking at somebody that is not a part of Livingston County
No.
GOP politics or politics in general that is trying to influence a couple of different campaigns. Kristina excluded from that, obviously, because she's not going to toe the line of what the establishment wants, but she's going to listen to the people. Okay,
I can't be bought.
you can't be bought.
No, I
We've
cannot be
seen
bought.
that.
And, Matt Hall doesn't want me, and that's okay.
Right.
I don't care. My point is, I'm here for the people. I'm here for our district. I
Right.
want to make sure that we do things proper for the district people. I have a passion and love for this county, and I cannot stand that Lansing is coming into our district, our wonderful county, and doing this to us.
Exactly.
Especially when we're 65% Republican in this seat. There is no reason for this. And the other Matt needs to stay in his county, which is Oakland County. He has his own primary. He should be taking care of his own primary.
Yeah.
And,
Why are we
and Matt
funneling
Hall,
money?
you know what? He needs to stay and mind his own business and stay out of
He's
our
got his
county.
Well, I have a
primary over
question.
too, Kalamazoo.
Isn't Matt Hall that stinking rhino that voted to lock up our guns?
Larry likes
He
that
did
rhino
vote.
term.
Yeah, I
He
know, he
did
likes
vote
calling
for
people
I call it lock up your safety. Yes, he did vote.
He
for
voted
that.
for that.
Okay,
Well,
I thought
I had
so.
a layman's
the safety
term,
back.
a layman's term question on these flyers. So there's nothing being done wrong by these flyers and by the information, but what you're attempting to clarify is through the organizational research of who's behind the flyers and who they are, you're trying to inform us of who is supporting Bob and who is supporting, and where that support comes from. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's part of the.
Okay.
This is done in districts across the state. We're
Right.
not unique on this.
Well, that's fine.
Christina.
but
But
this
that's
is
what
the first.
you're clarifying.
I have a question. This comes from Mike Detmer.
Okay.
He wants to know who you would vote for speaker.
Well, the time comes, I'd have to look at everything.
Yeah. I don't
Look
think
at
you
who
don't have to
wants to
answer
be
that now.
speaker.
Right.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
go.
I guess I understand that answer because who would be
It's August.
who's
Who's going to
I mean,
be
I
there
don't
in
know.
Yeah,
January?
you can't answer.
Right?
that
We're not
now.
voting for Joe Tate.
Well, but also, I mean, look at what we got rid of.
We have to get a majority first.
Yeah.
I mean, the answer is this. Why don't we care about getting a majority first
Right.
before we think about who's going to be speaker?
Mike asking you to kiss a ring.
Yeah,
No,
well,
that's great.
I would say not Matt Hall. That's what
Oh.
I was.
Yeah. The other one, Grand New Party asking, 35th District is also a Solidarity red seat. The establishment is dumping many millions into conservative primary races that should be used to defeat Democrats. And this is part of the problem, is that we're dumping huge amounts of money into primaries.
And you have to say Grand New Party PAC to make it sound like that tasty beverage.
Well,
Brand new parties doing not as much money, but they're getting involved here too.
correct. And what I'm looking at is these are primary races that should be extremely organic.
Well, there's
And-
a question up there, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to
Oh,
interrupt you. I
first
think
one.
it's Made in America or Made for America. I'm sorry, I
Mike
don't have
for
my glasses.
America.
Oh, Mike for
That-
America. Yeah.
Oh, Why
That
do-
was the one question he was
why do we
asking.
have primaries?
Yeah. Who would you vote for speaker?
That's right.
Oh,
That's
I thought we
Detmer.
said, why do we have primaries?
No,
That's
no.
Detmer.
No. We knew primaries, but
Okay.
primaries. And I'll say one of your opponents. One of the only quotes that I'll give him, Dominic. He said, "You know what? People say, why can't we just, there's 4 people running for the 50th. Why can't we just get together?" And he goes, "How would we get together?" And he goes, "Well, maybe people could choose." And he goes, "Well, what about a primary election where people hear their positions and do this?" And
I
that's
think
what
a
we're.
primary is the most important election.
I
It
agree,
is.
It's
because if you
100%.
send you send up we learned that. We sent Paul Young up against Alyssa Slotkin and got beat.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
We learned that.
exactly.
We could have sent Mike Detmer.
Correct.
Yeah.
And one of the
We could
questions
have
I
sent
recall.
Kristina Lyke.
I was waiting for her to smack me.
she's
Well,
not
I
going
was
to
going
reach
to the
across
next
the table
thought.
on
I'm
it.
fighting for you, buddy.
Yeah.
And he still is.
He's at least fielding questions. What were we going to say, Christy?
No, I was just going to make a comment on Larry. I think he just made that comment, though.
Okay. So we've got a number of flyers that are being put out by people that are not even part of the county, who are funneling money into these different campaigns. That on the surface, to me, I don't want to say it's suspicious, but it is. And it bothers me that outside money is influencing local campaigns, and you are laying out the agenda that this is for speaker or some other influential dynamic later on. It's a quid pro quo type of dynamic. And I'm sitting there looking at Kristina going, this is, you're sitting here being genuine, saying,
Switch your own camera. My computer's frozen.
Well, I'm sitting here being genuine because I showed up for everything.
right.
When I show up for everything, I go to work. I show up for everything. I make sure I work for my people, which are my clients. I also make sure that I go to work every single day.
Yeah.
And that's one of our commercials. But when you don't have someone going out there, walking, going to forums, debating, I would have loved to. I'm sure all 3 of us who showed up at the debates would have loved to debate this individual. Unfortunately, instead, we're just pouring in money, and
Mhm.
that's how he thinks he's going to get elected. And I hope that everybody has listened to what this is. This is actually money being funneled into our great county for this individual.
Right.
And that's not right. It's not right because
Yeah.
what I said earlier, it's all about the people we represent. And that means that you don't care about the people.
Absolutely. And I will say this, and you're my girl. I'm wearing the shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want to say my girl because that's sexist, right?
Dan might have a problem.
You're my choice for representative. I have my issues with Jason running in the 48th and now running in the 50th. That's one of my and it doesn't necessarily reflect on character. I have my problems with Bob, who said he wasn't going to run and then decided last minute to run. I don't have any problems with Dominic because Dominic is new at this, but you've already run, and I think he needs a little bit more experience. No casting aspersions on him. But the thing for me is your track record of having fought for people. Of course, a vast majority of them are paying clients, but I've literally witnessed you wipe out pretty high bills for people because ethically, morally, from your heart, you said
The battles.
the battle was the important thing, and that's what it is. And that's when it solidified for me how hard you fight.
Right.
I've seen some beneficial things coming out with Bob as a representative. He fought against the insurance, and they pulled money from him with insurance. I don't know if that precipitated him running for other places to find some money. I'm not going to cast that aspersion. But for me, my biggest problem with Bob is he never answered a fundamental question when his wife filed for divorce. I've yet to see anything, and we make sure we keep our ear open to hear any information coming for us. He's never answered those questions. Bothers me. I've had him on the show. I've had Jason on the show. I've had Dominic on the show. I've had you on the show. Out of all four of you, you were the one that either on air or off air has answered any and all questions with transparency. And that's, to me, is what's missing in our political arena.
Right.
And I'm not saying that they're all bad. They can have different things. And I'm not saying that Dominic didn't answer me with transparency, but I look at his lack of experience, his youthfulness, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Bob and Jason, I have a problem with some of the underlying things that some of these flyers are exposing. And I hate the fact that we have to be divisive. But the reality is there are questions that need to be answered that have not been answered. You have been forthcoming, not only on this podcast multiple times, but also in multiple arenas where you've been on debates and stuff like that. That to me is the endearing, genuine position.
Well, I want to thank you for that, because I believe that things need to be transparent, but I also want to make sure that everybody's clear on this. I don't go and talk about Bob's divorce on the campaign trail. That is his business.
Correct.
That's when I stay out of it.
And that's his Mrs. Bazat's business.
Correct. And the only reason I bring that up is because that was his statement why he was not going to run.
Right.
Oh.
That was his reasoning for not going to run, was personal issues, and said I wasn't going to run. Then he decides to run. Well, then you have an obligation to the people you have been representing to explain the reversal.
Maybe a good marriage counselor. And they're yeah.
That's
But
the only
no
reason I bring it up.
explanation came.
This
Right.
is your personal thing. This is your thing. But if you're representing us and you say, I'm not going to run because I have personal issues that I'm doing, and then you flip and you say, I'm going to run,
Right.
and you never explain the personal issues, I have a problem with that. You don't have to give, Bob doesn't have to give me full disclosure on everything that's going on. But you at least need to give me an explanation on the reversal when that was such a priority to step back. But it's no big deal to step back in.
And why do you wait to the last minute?
The last minute, and because of the separation, he was at a different address. Well, that's, I don't know where that all is. I don't give a fuck.
Well, you know
Sorry.
what bothers
Still is
me?
at a different address.
What bothers me is I remember Megan Reckling's race with Bob.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget this because, you know, I went on Bob's team at the end there and I was trying to help him out. And he was very upset about coming in at the last minute of Megan. And he did the same thing to all of us. But you know what? That's spoiled milk. You know what?
Understand.
It doesn't matter. Here we are today.
Yep.
And, you know, I said this at the forum. I believe it was at the forum. Days have gone by, but I said this before. I rescinded his endorsement. He asked me not to use his
Right.
endorsement. I rescinded it. And I said
Right.
that we would win on my own name,
Absolutely.
own name of integrity. And so that's what we've done. Now, I will say this. This campaign has been, you're really, really correct on this. It's been very divisive in this county.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I hope, and this is one of the reasons why I certainly hope that all of us can come together at the end of this, and because we need to get Donald Trump in.
Absolutely.
Right.
100%.
And that's the most, it's
and
important.
get
to-
our state back to blue,
right.
or back
Red.
to red.
Whoa,
Red.
whoa,
We gotta
red,
get out of
blue.
the,
Freudian
Red.
slip there.
No.
Watch it.
Red.
I was thinking.
So I
blue.
got
I knew
We gotta
red.
get back to
Yeah,
red.
red. I got two questions, and someone's tongue in cheek, but okay, just to bullet point the issues that we're talking about in this reveal we're doing tonight in
Yeah.
election eve Tuesday Eve, the reveal of the corruption. You're starting with bullet point. These campaign funds going into flyers is one of the first, bullet point reveals
From outside sources.
from outside sources. Okay,
Right.
just trying to bullet point these, hitting these just
Yeah.
for our viewing audience of what's being revealed is that there are nefarious and actual just political powers in behind the scenes being worked to support different candidates. It's not illegal or nothing. It's just where to be informed and know where the money's coming from. Secondly, is there's only one issue I have with our counselor Lyke as a candidate, and only one is in large parties with a lot of people, judge could be a handful. That's the only thing. Other than that, judge in a group of people just
Judge the dog.
Judge. I'll tell you what, Judge.
I swear that dog.
Judge on the podcast, having to sit here for 3 hours doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Judge struggles.
Yeah, that's why we
But
didn't have him tonight. Here.
He's a very hyperactive
During the
dog.
parade,
Yes.
pulled Dan everywhere, checking out every child that wanted to pet
Yes.
and wanted to touch and go, can I pet the dog?
He's a child advocate.
Absolutely.
Now the grand new party's making a very good point right there. It says the
I
30th
said that
party
one. I
pack.
said that one.
Yeah,
I pointed that one out.
yeah.
Should we go to the next point?
Is that the one you're pointing out?
Well,
that
yeah,
one
what's
and
our
the
next
one underneath
reveal?
it.
The other
Dan,
one of the big
yeah.
issues that I think is where Lansing takes advantage of matters. I mentioned with the cliques in the division we have here in our own county, and we had. Well, I don't know exactly why the real reasons for the last minute reversal. I have a lot of speculation I can make, but during when Bob retired originally, he is even at our wedding. He was politicking with Wolford. That was his guy.
Yeah.
Introducing
We
him.
found this out after our
We
wedding.
found it out afterward.
Did he ask you to step down, or you no comment on that?
Keep going, Dan.
But I see that. Well, I think Mike hasn't checked his mailbox. I'll say that. But
Continue with your point,
but
Dan, and I'm going to
we
address
have
something in
this-
chat.
But we have this around endorsement. I'm thinking of the 80,000 plus
Oh.
people in the 50th district.
I'll get to that.
Of all the people that you pick for an endorsement, or you recruit, or you bring in,
Yeah.
you bring your buddy who just lost in a different district, who bought a house in Weberville in Ingham County, and then you go and advise him to get an apartment in Town Commons to rent and act like you, quote, live there. And that's your person? You think that would fly with, especially a lot of the old timers in this district that have been here many years, that would prefer someone with district ties?
And that's
So-
100%. And I want you to address this.
Yeah, I just saw that.
The chat.
Yeah, I believe that's Mike Detmer again.
Yeah. Kristina, I understand that not
So-
having a debate with Bob, but why are you silent on Wolford's residency and other issues? I will tell you, inside baseball, day one, there was no silence.
No.
But there was a strategic positioning. I don't want to reveal what I know because I know you guys personally, but there was, from day one, there was a go ahead, Kristina. I don't want to say
That's one of the mailers. I never got that mailer.
You never
So-
got this one?
This
No.
one,
You must have voted by the time they sent it out.
this
then.
one we sent out. Where's Wolford?
Can we do give me that one? I'll
Sure.
do it.
Where's Waldo?
Can we do it overhead?
Not Waldo. Where's Wolford?
Where's Wolford? So explain this one to us, or
So-
take off where you want to go.
So I just want to make it abundantly clear. This was very difficult. I went back and forth on this because I know the truth. I went back and researched it all. I knew this beforehand. This residency needed to be out there. His house is in Weberville. It's on Party Street. I just couldn't understand why he wasn't running in the old district where he was from originally.
He still kept his house there.
And then he sells his house, buys 2 plots over in Weberville, one that's on Party and the other one's on Grant, correct? What's the other one called?
Oh,
It starts with a
forgot the
G, and I'm
name.
sorry. But anyway,
Kramer, I think.
I mean, the house is right there in Weberville. And so the reason why we did this is because he's been staying there. He puts his garbage out there. He does a lot of the stuff there. He sleeps there. His family's there. And you're telling our district, and there's one thing you don't do with me. I'm very protective. I'm like a mother hen, right? I'm like that with my clients, my family, my friends, my neighbors, even my husband. He can't
Drives
stand
me
it.
nuts.
And I'm sorry, honey, but sometimes it happens.
Dan suffers through.
But the thing
Must
of
be
it
some
is,
fringe benefits.
you don't lie. You don't lie to the people and be deceitful. This is deceitful to me. And then when you go, and my faith, I was taught never to lie, right? And that's one of the commandments, right? So why are we saying that he's got a house here in Weberville, but when he was asked that specifically at the debate, he went around the question about what contacts did he have in the 50th district. He says, I live in Howell, I live in Howell, I live in Howell. So that's the reason why we put this piece out.
Okay.
But the only, did you say something?
No, it's Tim over there. He Tim's umming over there.
Yeah. So the reason why we put this piece out there is because the fact is you don't go and misconstrue facts. You don't deceive the district.
Yeah.
Because if you're deceiving the district now, what are you going to do as a state representative? And then you're paying Ingham County taxes, and you're not paying taxes, property taxes, right here in Livingston.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes a big difference to me.
Huge.
I mean, which interest are you going to have? Ingham's or Livingston's?
And
I always say Livingston first.
And I am certainly not the only one at the table that had a problem with that switch of you ran for the 48th last cycle. And now all of a sudden
he did have his house there last time.
Exactly.
And he had it on Eastdale.
And now you're running for I knocked doors for Jason.
Right.
When he ran last cycle. And now I'm like, why are we switching? Because this is an easy red seat to go for. What's the deal? I will go on record to tell everybody I have not liked I Love You because Livingston likes Lyke, but I have not liked this whole cycle with the 50th district seat from day one.
Right.
Because the only person I've known how to trust is the one sitting across from me at the table. Tim, what do you got?
Can I articulate what you're trying to get to for the layman?
Yes, please.
The layman hates when these freaking politicians game the effing system. We hate
it.
Play the game to play the game for power. We hate when they know the inside baseball and they're working with backroom deals.
Where can I get elected?
The general
We're gonna shift to get over here.
Hates that bullshit, and that's what the problem is. And it goes to integrity of the candidate. It
Absolutely.
goes to, oh yeah, you might be playing just like smart chess, but
no. Yeah,
no,
exactly. And I'll tell you right here.
Which brings me to the next point, if I may.
Let me do this real quick and draw it. And I want you to go to your next point. Larry sat here across from me, sits across from me multiple nights, regular co-host with me. My main man giving the announcement.
Hanging out
And Larry was looking at this going, this doesn't sit right with me.
Right.
Somebody that, and Larry behind the scenes shares his thoughts, shares his opinions, but then has a public persona, of course.
We
all do. But Larry was like,
he's the people.
This doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah. He's our dipstick.
I didn't like it either.
And that's what Tim was articulating over there. For me, is he's looking at this is what we want is integrity.
Yeah.
And you listen, I can disagree with you 10, 20%, maybe even 30% sometimes. But if you're truthful and honest with me, I can align with you because you're there to represent me. Local, state, national. Doesn't matter.
Right.
If I can see a genuineness, there's some things with these two other candidates that doesn't smack of genuineness. It smacks of trying to maintain a seat or to assume a seat of power that is not from an honorable position. Larry, did you have any comments on that, or go to Christine?
No, go to Christine.
Okay, Christina, your next point.
So
I want this.
Which is our next point. If you look at our flyer, it says, Jason really, really wants to be a state rep. So he went to his buddy Bob, and they came up with this scheme for Jason to rent an apartment in Howell and claim it as his residence.
Game in the effing system.
So right there, and he told everyone that Bob did this. So, I have a problem with both of them having this back room deal And I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know about it until like after my wedding. And I found out they were politicking during our reception.
During your wedding.
It was, and
You
it
know?
was,
I was just like, what?
it was the click.
And the thing of it is,
Mhm.
I couldn't understand why we wouldn't know, since this was where I live. I mean, this is my home.
Yeah.
And I would think that someone would try to tell me that they're bringing somebody outsider in. You know, he may have lived in Howell, but he doesn't live in the 50th district. He doesn't have contacts in 50th district. He does have the mission that he has in there, but he doesn't live here. He can't live in the mission. And so my whole thing with this whole thing is that deceitfulness, to me, you don't deceive the 50th district. These
Right.
are people.
Right.
They want to.
Shouldn't it have been one of the first things that brought out in the campaign?
What is
Shouldn't it have been a full disclosure right from the outset of saying, you know what?
That he
I was in
moving?
the 48th last time.
Yeah. Oh,
But I have moved,
yeah.
and I'm proud that I've moved within this district that is very conservative, and I want to be your representative.
He was hiding.
Shouldn't have been.
He was hiding which district because he was out getting endorsements, and a lot of people endorsed him thinking he was running for the 48th.
Yeah.
And people are desperate to have a credible candidate in the 48th, and we're hoping Brian Ignatowski is that person this time. He's working hard.
I talked to the hockey guys tonight. I was like, are you in this district? Are you in the
Brian's
district? Are you in
working
this
hard.
district? Vote for Brian.
right?
As well as
And
Anthony.
he's working really hard.
He is, as well as Anthony for a national. I had a couple guys that live up in Fenton. And I was like, are you guys going to vote tomorrow? You better go to vote. I yelled out in the locker room. I was like, you guys need to go vote. And they're like, I'm like, I know you live here. Anthony Hudson. Do you live
And
over here? Brian Ignatowski.
It's a shame that not a lot of people go and vote in the primary because, again, like what Larry said earlier,
Mhm.
and I said, this is your choice. This is who you get to have as your
Correct.
representative, most likely in this seat.
The only way you'll have a Democrat win this district
Is it
Is
the
it-
infighting?
is that, and you have a nominee that's the level of what we know about Lee Chatfield today.
Explain that, Dan, in 10 seconds.
About as bad a guy as it gets, I'll just
He's a
say.
lower 30 seconds.
In
Okay.
his opinion.
All right. All right.
I will
Continue.
say this. I want you to know, first of all, I don't like that we had to bring this out to the light, because of the fact is, but here's the thing. If you're not telling people what's going on, how are they going to trust you?
Right.
So I had to do it. And you know what? I can look myself in the mirror every morning because I told the truth about this.
100%.
And I have a real hard time, again, with my faith, that this person has done this to our people.
Mhm.
And I have a hard time with the other individual who actually goes and made this agreement with this person. This is wrong. This
Right.
is not
It's
our
a backroom
district.
deal.
And this brought a circus to
Yeah.
our county. And that's why it's kind of divisive right now.
Full disclosure for those in our audience, I was 100% in the mix as far as being abreast of the backroom deal from day one through you, Dan, and multiple other people saying, are you aware of what's going on? And I was like, I am now.
Right.
I was standing in the parking lot after hockey tonight, and multiple people were asking me questions. And they're like, you've got the inside thing. And I'm like, well, people know that I'm trustworthy and I keep my mouth shut when they tell me this is
Right.
for your ears only. So having the podcast and being a trustworthy person, I get a lot of information that I don't share on the show
Right.
that I know.
Sometimes you can't share it.
Well, that's why I have my two counselors sit down at the table and
Yeah.
share.
I'll give you.
Well,
what-
Mike
And my
says,
source wasn't you.
Mike says that Jason used the info he received from Bob and Sheila while he was counseling them
I wasn't sure I was going to read that.
on their marriages.
Well, it's in the chat. Tim, what were you going to add to that?
So
Well,
I just
don't-
want to say this.
Christina. No, go ahead, Christina.
No, I just want to say this.
Yeah.
I would rather leave Sheila out of this whole mess
Exactly.
because
Yes.
Sheila
she's
has
yes.
been a victim in this whole thing,
Mhm.
and I don't
More ways than one. Yeah.
and I don't want her
Yeah, we
involved
don't
in
want to
this
re-victimize.
podcast.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
And Bob also denies having a backroom deal, asking Jason to sell his house and rent the apartment in the 50th to rent. Now he told me that to my face. I
Oh,
want
did
you
he?
to-
Oh, okay.
Well,
just so you
From
know.
the horse's
yes.
mouth. All right.
Jason
Yes.
said he didn't counsel him.
Okay. Well,
So this is the type of
he
of-
said, she
I
said.
think the
Yeah.
truth's somewhere in the middle with that.
Here's
Well, if
the
you
thing.
look at the two newspapers that
Correct.
came out, remember those two
The
newspapers?
con work.
Yeah.
And you got Jason on one side yelling,
I'm
you got
immersed.
Bob yelling on the other side. And Bob actually came out. Remember the second newspaper? First of all, he says, I'm coming because Lansing wants me.
Do that.
I'm paraphrasing. But he didn't say the district people want me, the district wants me. He didn't say that. He said Lansing wants him.
And he
Yeah.
said
Right.
behind the scenes, Matt Hall wanted him to run.
Well, hold on. And then the second one said, and I had to love this one, a quote from him said, Kristina Lyke said that Jason Wilford lives outside in the district and we can't have a dishonest man run. So that's why I'm running. So that's another paraphrasing. But if you look in the newspaper, that's what he said.
Hmm.
It was
So-
one of his quotes. Recall that?
I remember what he claimed.
And I'm going to say this. I asked him why he endorsed him. Of course. I asked him, why are you endorsing somebody that lives outside the district? And he told me that, oh, no, he does live in the district.
Now.
So here's the dynamic.
doesn't now.
Well, and Larry likes to go after the illicit what's
The illicit
Slutkin. I mean, Slutkin.
Slutkin.
Yeah.
I can never say her name right.
Never
Anyway, she
Slutkin?
looks like a poodle with her hair. Not Judge. Judge is cool.
She always looks like
with
she
her hair
doesn't,
hanging out.
doesn't
She flicks
Alyssa
her
look
hair.
like she works at Jiffy Lube?
I'm gonna get
You ever
the
seen her
hair where it hangs down, and so I can flick it back and forth, and I'll be like, I'm Alyssa Slotkin, and I'm gonna flip my hair around. Anyways, my point on that is that one of the things that Larry's always touted with her, she is a DC swamp creature.
Right.
Mhm.
She took up residence with her boy toy in order to be here in Michigan. She's not even like legitimate.
Well,
across
that
the-
was later. She took up.
yeah, but even
residence.
her
Before that,
residency
she
here was like,
claimed to live in her
I'm staying at somebody's
grandparents'
lake
basement.
house, and therefore I'm going to run.
Right.
It's like, listen, if you're staying at somebody's lake house, like some of my
Right.
other friends,
To get into politics.
that means you've lived here your entire life. Which we have friends mutually that have lived here their entire life who are staying at lake houses.
I will say this, though.
Okay.
I don't care for Alyssa's politics, but I don't ever
Alyssa,
make
this
fun
one?
of her
That
looks
it
because I
must
just
Well,
be
don't.
I know.
party before country.
You mean that one?
Always.
We didn't see it.
Must be party before country.
Party before country. But my whole point is that when my problem with, I don't like to attack people's looks either, except when it reflects the disingenuousness and the insincerity that they have. And then I go, the outward expression is reflecting the inward hypocrisy.
That makes sense.
That's one of the other reasons I say that about Alyssa Slotkin. Anyways, my point with bringing that up was, here's somebody who has
Wanted to make me
been
throw a
exposed as being a non-resident usurping a congressional district.
Right.
And the Republicans made this a huge issue,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
From the first time that I met Larry, one of the first things he talked about was Alyssa Slotkin. She's, can I do your voice, Larry? Alyssa
Slotkin, great, Larry.
she's.
Oh, you must have it.
opposed her. I did this. I did that. I go, okay, Larry. We're not doing the same thing with our congressional, with the candidates running in this primary, except for you. It's being brushed aside. We can't stand for it when it's a Democrat doing this. The Republicans got all up in arms, but they're not going to scrutinize when somebody does the same flip-flopping things. Now it's a few miles, right? But the reality is he ran in the 48th last cycle. Now he's running the 50. That bothers me.
It bothers me a great deal.
And there's not an answer for
because
that.
he doesn't have contacts here. He never lived here.
That's one of my 2 points I wanted to make earlier is the fact that it is representative of there's an industry out there for you business owners that if you're familiar with it, the direct sales or network marketing industry, where there are people who play the industry and play the game, just like politicians are doing this, where they're playing the game and trying to get in the game wherever they can get in the game.
And that bothers me.
And that's a bother, wherein there should be the structure of representing the demographic of the people who are actually living in a region needs to come from the populace of that region. That's the first point. The second point is there is a well, I'm going to say organizational, but really it's a spiritual pull that those of you who are out there, like, our candidate and counselor here, has responded to the call to serve your populace, your public from where you live, and, getting together in your pulpits and in your school school districts and your what are the school boards and representing your populace locally is something that our population has jettisoned for one reason or another. You'll see it in the exit polls and the numbers: 20%, 15, 12, or 22% of a populace of registered voters actually turning out for a vote, and is fucking insulting. That people are not doing what they should be doing to get involved, and I thank our candidate here that is, doing that.
And I like that. I wonder how my deceased parents are going to vote at this time. That was
That's good.
But,
I also, if I can just add next thing, like we were talking about divisiveness.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know this or not, but somebody in our community who is supporting Jason sent my husband a text to have me move to a different district.
Oh,
Jason supported Jason at the time.
Right. And I think it's funny though, because they never asked me personally, or they never talked to me. They always go through my husband. I don't know why, but the point is that I'm here to stay and I'm not leaving my district. This is our home. And if I'm not leaving.
Right.
This is our home. This is where I intend to protect our home.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to defend it to the most, and to our honor.
And to Tim's point, what he was looking at is, look, this should be a grassroots. Every time it should be a grassroots thing.
Right.
And I appreciate that Bob was a sheriff here, that he served here, that I've had testimonies that he's done some good things.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point, he said, I'm not running.
Right. I
have personal issues. That opened the place. Then the backroom deals, and then all this stuff. And I go, you know what? I have had a political opinion for most of my life.
Right.
But my political involvement has been over the last 3 years.
And I will say this, I don't know if you know about all this stuff, but one thing that bothers me is that we are, when you put something out like the truth,
mm-hmm.
all of a sudden the individual who puts the truth out must be negative. I'm going to tell you right now, there has been a hush campaign all along, and people directing any affiliates of a campaign who goes and says things that are negative about the candidate. They are affiliated with that candidate, especially their top people.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is this. I want to make sure that people are clear that I don't like negativity.
Me either.
I don't. But I wanted to make sure that people, when they go to that voting booth, they actually know what is actually going on. For instance, the 171 votes that were missed by Bob.
Mm-hmm.
That bothers me as a taxpayer.
Me too.
And it bothered me
Bare minimum for your job. bare minimum, show up and vote.
And that bothered me prior to even running. I mean, when he was on vacation, you know, in Arizona and in Laughlin and Illinois, it bothered me because I thought to myself, here I am paying what you should, even if you're not voting, aren't you having a town hall here? Aren't you getting a hold of us and talking to us about what's
you know
going
what?
on?
I didn't know it until you guys, until the this campaign cycle, not you specifically. I know you guys brought light to it, but other people have. I've gotten texts from the two other candidates that said he's missed these many votes. I go, I didn't know this. And again, I'm very politically astute, but I was not politically involved on this level. And I look at that and go, wait a minute, you missed 171 votes.
It's the second most.
This is your job. You got so many freaking vacations built into being a representative. It's ridiculous. The amount of times that they're not in session.
It's the second most votes of any representative in Lansing this term. And all the 171
Second most
this term.
missed.
Second most missed. The one who missed the most actually does have an excuse.
It's on deployment.
He was on deployment. So
there's-
he
So
had
what's
no
the
say in
excuse?
matter.
What's the excuse? And we've had multiple very abhorrent bills passed. Maybe maybe Bob's vote mattered or didn't matter, depending on the margin of.
It always matters.
But
Every vote matters.
that's what I was going to say. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter.
If you have a
But the
two-vote-
reality is, on record, to the people who are your constituents, it matters 100%. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, your single vote wouldn't have changed anything. Understood.
But you never know if
But
a Democrat's
you
not going to show up.
didn't vote. And because you didn't vote, the constituency that you represent were disenfranchised
Right.
because you are their representative.
And you don't just represent, and I just want to make sure everybody's abundantly clear on this. You don't just represent the Republican Party in your district. You represent the entire district. And so, you know, when people come to you and they ask you a question, whether you're independent, Democrat, Republican, your state representative should always be there. We're a public servant.
100%.
And that's what I plan on being there, always for the individual, always trying to be a public servant, always making sure that we put the people first.
Yep.
You know, I don't care if you call me state representative Lyke or you call me just, hey,
I call you
Lyke,
counselor because
you know,
I already
I'm
gave you
here
a
for
dollar.
you, right?
You're
I'm
good.
here for John down the street. I'm here for Larry, you know, over in Heartland. I'm here for
Maybe for Larry. Don't fully commit to Larry.
We're always here for you, Larry. I'm just saying, we're here for everyone.
If you don't, I'm going to make a meme.
Stop.
Not only, and I want to make sure that that's abundantly clear for everyone because that's what a state representative is.
100%.
And
Yeah.
I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to call that individual and make sure that they know that that person has their back. You know, even if you disagreed with my vote or disagreed with something that I was thinking about,
call
call
say
me up and talk to
clarification.
me. We'll have coffee.
Hell yeah.
You know, I do that with other people.
Charlotte Cosmic says, I like Bob. He might need a break for this one. He's a good guy. I voted for him. You know, I voted for Bob the last 2 times. The reality is, Bob said he wasn't going to run. He endorsed 3 people, then backed off of it, asked him not to cite his endorsement.
2 people.
I thought he endorsed all 3 at one point.
And just so everybody knows,
But
this isn't
I don't
about
care. I don't
Bob's
care.
a good guy, Bob's not a good guy. You know, it's not about hate and like and things of that nature.
Yeah.
You missed work. You failed to go to work, right?
Yeah.
When you fail to go to work, you don't get paid in a regular job, right?
I don't get
And
paid
so-
when I don't work.
And just so everyone knows, I voted for Bob too. Charlotte, is it Charlotte?
Yeah.
Charlotte, I voted for Bob too. And, you know, I agree with you, Charlotte.
Somebody's clicking. I don't know what's happening. I'm hearing it in my ears. Are you hearing the clicking in your ears? Okay, it's just me. Just me. I may have to put my my thing should be dead. I lost my ears. All right.
A little warm in here tonight.
You know what? It's been hot all the way around, and
It has.
we're fighting the heat.
Tell
It's
me about it. I was
ridiculous.
going door to door And
Good.
I found one of
So-
those fans on the neck.
Yeah. So we haven't had the so here at the man cave. Can I get a Tim's back? Give me an over or man cave shot.
It might be fucking red, dude.
It might be. I gotta go fix that. We got the old GoPros.
The-
Anyways,
I'm gonna go. I want to say something more on this on the Whisper campaign stuff that's been going on from the start.
do it, Dan.
Um,
But there's the man cave shot. I want to.
okay.
Is it Jack? Did you go to it? All right. Anyway, so that's the man cave shot. We make improvements to the man cave all the time, but some of our gear is old, and we're doing stuff on that. But that's not the point of the show. Dan, go.
With this Whisper campaigns, I'm gonna give a quote on what former mob capo Michael Francis said on when it came to if you're involved in the mafia violence back then. He said, if you're part of the life, you're part of the violence. If you're part of the Whisper campaign, it's done so there's plausible deniability with the candidates. In my views, it came from the candidate, whether it came from their consultant, their friends, or even some of the volunteers.
Is this an Irish thing, Dan?
There is
Well,
some
what
I
really
did-
nasty stuff
Yeah.
going on in this district.
What I did, what we did, I should
I
say,
agree with you.
when the negative stuff, or it's really the truth we put out, you know where it came from. The what about Bob Mailer about him missing the votes and the Lansing establishment get involved to help him?
Yeah.
Our name's on it. Where's Wolford? Our name's on it. These other ones here, these aren't ours. And
they're not owning it.
but they had Whisper campaigns. You had LCRP elections director at the time have their election meetings at Mission Cry when they're in the tank. So they're in the tank for Wolford. I'm just gonna back before Bob jumped back in. I'm just gonna flat out say it. The same person sent a text message to me trying to get Kristina not to run or to back out and to move to Genoa Township where she never lived to get an apartment to run against Conlon. I'm just going to say right now, Carpetbagger isn't going to win that district. Any independents wouldn't be on board anyway.
Right.
It was a stupid suggestion, and why not get Wolford to move back there and run where he lived for so many years?
Now we got Brian struggling without
But
a previous.
Brian's got a chance.
Can I
He's
interrupt
got
you
a
for a
chance,
second?
but he was fresh. Go ahead.
I just saw something.
We saw that, right?
Mike for America said, and I believe that's Mike Detmer,
Yeah.
but Bob had hip surgery. And I just want to make a quick note here. I said it during the forum too. I asked Bob, I called him up when he had hip surgery, and I asked him personally if he'd like me to take him back and forth to Lansing so he could vote. He said, no, I hate Lansing and I don't want to go there, right? And I don't like the people there. My point is this, when he keeps saying that he had hip surgery, it's not, yes, you did have hip surgery, but I could have taken you. You could have gone. And my mom had hip surgery. She was back up on her feet.
Right.
You don't miss that much time.
I had a groin injury playing hockey, and I came back too early, and I had a hairline fracture in my ankle from a hockey puck on my thumb.
Oh, wow.
I showed up multiple times to the locker room after the skate to hang out with my buddies.
And I tore my meniscus.
Right.
And I went door to door every day.
I couldn't be the goalie and play, but I still showed up there.
Right.
And I'll tell you,
You had to take my sock off,
I understand the I don't know all the complications with Bob's hip surgery, but one of my mom's friend, I saw her literally 3 days after her hip surgery. I don't know if that's the same surgery, but I saw her 3 days after the hip surgery at my mom's place, walking, and it was part of her what do you call it? Her walking, whatever the fuck it's she's physical therapy. Thank you, Tim.
Do I have to think for you every show?
Yes, her physical therapy was go live your life, walk, do what you're normally doing, and when the pain gets too much, take a break.
You know,
This
what?
was 3 days after her hip surgery, and my mom told me, she's like, pray for my friend, and I know her. I've been to her house,
All these
and they were
votes,
like, okay. And I see her 3 days after her hip surgery, and I'm like, you're up and walking. She's like, yep. They told me to get up and move around, and I'm like, okay,
They
cool.
had my mom walking the next day.
And the fact that you listen, all these excuses come back to a central idea. Do you represent the people
And why couldn't you do it during the summer to have his hip surgery?
when there's a break?
Because Cindy
when there's a
Cindy
congressional.
Dimby did that.
Yeah.
She had her hip surgery during the summer. But I'm just saying, I would have taken him, and I did volunteer. And I just want to say, NAIWS, please tell Cheryl I said thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your wife.
And Mike does want to clarify it was 170 votes out of 3,500 that he missed.
It's actually 171. Check
171.
that out, Mike.
171 votes out of 135 out of all the representatives.
Yeah, but that one.
No, out of 3,500 votes.
Oh, 35 total hundreds. And I get that.
that's still
No.
But
too
still,
many.
to Dan's point, the only other person that surpasses him is
It's I'm not going to mention the name of the rep because I don't want to give campaign fodder to the Democrats when you get called up for deployment.
correct. So the only other guy that had the same amount of missed votes.
He had more, but
Listen,
I mean, you can serve in the Michigan House and
And be-
away
and be-
on deployment.
yeah.
yeah.
listen, I do not want to cast aspersions without merit. Okay. But I'm going to tell you what, if I were to be in your position, being elected, I would be at every single vote.
Absolutely.
Because that is my least, Jesus talked about this. He said when a servant comes and they just do the bare minimum, you know what Jesus called them? This is another religious thing. You guys can check me in the chat.
Lukewarm.
No, he said, you are a wicked and lazy servant because you only did what was required.
And you know what? My mom taught me never to be lazy.
Never be lazy.
Right? And my dad taught me that too.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this. I think I make a good point here. I have torn my meniscus in my knee, and it's very painful.
Mhm.
I am embarrassed to ask my husband to take my sock off at night, but I go door to door
He
every
likes to
single
rub your
night.
feet. Stop. You know he likes it.
He doesn't like feet.
I'm not
actually.
into feet.
Not in the
Okay,
feet.
no dirty talk at the
androgynous.
table.
But in any case, my point is this.
Yeah.
You still go,
and
you
you
do
do your
8.5 hours
Yeah.
to 9 hours a day going door to door because why? You love this county, right? And you want to work
you
for
step
them.
up
And you
do what's-
step up
do
to the
what's
plate.
necessary.
And you know what? I had to go, and sometimes it was hard to get up that knee up to that step.
Yeah.
And at night I would have to put this cream on it, put some ice on it, and then he'd put a pillow underneath it for a little bit. Then I'd start writing notes to all the voters who I met.
Yeah.
And then I also wrote notes to the ones that I did not get to meet. And some of them came back. If you didn't get them, I apologize, but some of them had P.O. boxes and we just had the mailing address or the home address.
Street
So
address.
I just want to let anyone know that we really did that. I hand wrote them myself.
Yeah.
I stayed up till 4:30 in the morning doing that. And also I was, litigating for people the next day for their either their fundamental rights or something,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you what, I was excited to meet. It gave you encouragement when every time you got to a door and you talked to somebody and you saw that glimmer of hope that you could give to that person. Like,
Yeah.
this person actually cares about me. This
Mhm.
person actually cares about all the voters.
And it's a genuine care. It's not a lip service.
Right.
That's
I mean,
huge.
you said that, and I hope that people see that about me because I just care about all the people in our district. I care about what's going on here. I care about the illegal immigration that's coming in here. I came up with a plan for that, and that's the mirror, the image of the state of Texas. And, I was the first one to come out with that, with the human trafficking, not to have that in our state any longer.
100%.
And we got to protect these children.
Yeah.
If we
absolutely.
don't, what's going to happen?
Yeah. I was talking with the guys at hockey, and I said, you know what? I can look around the locker room or in the parking lot when we're hanging out after hockey, and I can go, I built a deck for that guy. I did some repairs on his house. I did this. I haven't advertised in the last 6 years. I never really, in fact, the advertisement that I did never did anything. I got signs that never did anything, right? All of the work that I've done for the last 6 years of carpentry has all been the connections with my hockey buddies or other people that I know. I don't have to advertise to
'Cause you
go
have a
and
good
do
reputation.
carpentry. Correct. And here's my point. I get paid for that. I negotiate wages sometimes, right?
Right.
Depending on the job,
Exactly.
but I get paid for that. You have been a fighter for the people that come and ask for your representation. And there's a negotiation for a fee. For their representation, there is an honorarium that comes forth.
There
They
is.
come off on as a bill, however it is. But you're upfront with that. They're upfront with that. I need you to represent me. Well, here's my fee. Here's my thing. I have the same thing in carpentry. I need you a bunch of custom trim work. Okay, well, here's my hourly rate, or here's my job quote for you. Here's my thing. They pay me. Everything like that.
Right.
These are dynamics that people need to understand when they're looking at this. Is when you sit here, you have fought for people. Hardcore. Did you receive compensation for that fight? Absolutely. It's scriptural. It says a worker deserves his wages, and a soldier does not go to war at his own expense. These are two different scriptures, right?
Right.
You have fought for people, but I've also seen you fight for people and then turn around and go, your bill is dismissed. I've seen that personally, as well as you telling me other instances. And I look at this dynamic and I go, I identify so much with you because you're that. And I'm not saying that other people haven't done some good. So a lot of people that do some good. Okay.
Right.
But are they doing the most that they can with the least amount of compensation for what they're doing? That dynamic to me is so appealing. It's like, are you putting yourself out there? I've had to look at jobs and go, you know what? Well, good. I'd rather have goodwill than you cover the bill that is legitimate with me. I've done that
Absolutely.
and walked away. And then they call you back 6 months later and go, can you come fix this on your dime? And I go, not only did you not pay me what I was worth, but I am going to come back and honor that because my reputation is more. These are the dynamics that I think that people don't grasp behind the scenes. And I said at the top of the show, we look for perfect people. There are no perfect people. And I said it in Hebrews. Even Jesus learned obedience and once made perfect. Hebrews chapter 5, verses 7 through 9. Doesn't mean Jesus was not the Son of God. Doesn't mean he was divine. It wasn't divine. He was. But he still had to experience life in order to understand the totality of what it means to be human. That's what it means. If I don't go through life and experience it, then I can't empathize to the depths of being on the cross that is necessary for being that sacrifice. This is literally what it says in Hebrews chapter 5. So there's those dynamics, and I've sat across the table from you multiple times. The first couple times it was as acquaintances, and then we got to know each other.
That's true.
And I have emceed a couple events, walked with you in parades, because I recognize this genuine dynamic within you that you will fight, whether you are honored with compensation or not. You will fight for those who are presented to you, whether they're presented to you in a law firm office or presented to you in the constituency that's doing this. I know there's some things with Bob. I know there's some things with Jason. I think Dominic is a great guy, but he's young and he's not primed for this current time. That's fine.
Isn't he tied to the hip to
I don't-
Donna Tice?
I don't know
Megan
anything.
Reckling.
You may know something about that. I don't know anything about that. You may. I'm not discounting you, Larry.
Right.
But I'm saying from my perspective, me as the host of the show, I'm looking at this going, I found that genuine fight for the people dynamic that we need right now. We need right now. We do not, they keep touting, we're destroying democracy. We're destroying democracy. We're destroying. And I go,
It's a republic.
you guys literally
Representative
put forth a
Republic.
candidate who is a knee pad, we'll just leave it at that, person
Right.
who never received a single delegate vote in a primary
Destroying the democracy that
ever,
Biden
let alone
led.
last cycle, let alone this cycle, that you just installed as the next candidate. People are
Destroying
crying out for somebody who is not perfect, but who says, I will listen and I will do my best to represent all of the people that I am charged with being a representative of.
You know, I'm just honored right now. I'm just speechless, and that doesn't happen for me very often. I will say that
You don't
right
want
now.
to make me keep pontificating over here. You got to respond.
I'm just really speechless here. Everybody knows that I'm usually a talker here. I will say this, you know, I've done a lot of things. It's hard to, you know, pride goeth before a fall. That's in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my youth pastor giving that verse to me when I graduated at 18 years of age, because we didn't have it was like a prom or anything, but it was a recognition of the 18-year-olds and we got dressed up. And that was the verse he gave me. And I thought, why are you giving me this verse?
Right.
Right?
Prideful 18-year-old. Why are you giving me this?
Yeah. Why are you giving this? Why don't you give me like something? But I'll never forget that, because the fact is, you have a chip on your shoulder, you will fall. And I remember that my mom said to me one day, I asked her, I said, Mom, is it you know, people want to know all this stuff about myself and I feel like I'm bragging. And she goes, no, when you're running for office, they need to hear that.
Right.
You hear it.
So I'm going to tell you right now, I opened up my office a long time ago because I made a promise to God that when I became an attorney, I would help the Christians and I would help the veterans.
Mhm.
And you don't waver on that promise to God, right? So I have done a lot of pro bono cases. Now I can't do them all, but I did a pro bono case. I'll never forget this. It was an assault and battery case.
Mhm.
This man, it's kind of cute. He says to me, Kristina, I did not want to be on probation or anything. I want to be able to drink my beer because I'm a veteran and I serve this country. And I said, he goes, and I just looked at him. I said, well, I guess we're going to trial, you know?
Yeah.
So we had a 2-day trial and he was found innocent. And I'll never forget this, but he turned around as soon as I got done with my closing argument. He was like, that was like a movie. And, you know, and I was so honored to do that for him. And then we had another situation. I mean, there's quite a few situations I could talk about, but getting their fundamental rights back, like I almost got hit in the face in court. It came right here. You know what? I'd take a hit for a veteran any day,
Absolutely.
right? Because the fact is, they served for us. They fought for our constitutional rights, and I'm going to fight for them. That's how I always looked at it.
Mhm.
And I've done that, and I've continuously done that. And I know this community does know that about myself and our firm. And I'm nothing without the people behind me at my office. I'm nothing without my secretary. So I always say, and sometimes I say at speeches, I say we, you know,
Yeah.
just so everyone knows, I don't think I'm got two people here. I say we because of the fact
They, them.
I have a
we.
great staff behind
Right
me
here,
myself.
they, them.
Yeah.
The
No,
royal
but
schizophrenia.
that's the dynamic is people that, when Trump stands up there, he's like, listen, they're just trying to take me out to get to you. So when we talk about we,
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I had death threats years ago,
Mhm.
you know, and that's the reason why, and I'm sorry, Tim, but that's the reason why I bring Judge a lot of times with me.
Oh, that's
He goes with
Yeah.
me all the time
yeah, he
because
looks
the fact
vicious.
is,
I think he could take off an ankle. Yeah.
well, I love that dog. And I think that someone would try to
Judge
hurt
is a
him,
sweetheart.
you know? So he's somewhere secure right now. But the thing of it
A
is
secure location.
secure
in a bunker.
location.
Is that a remote
A
location?
remote location.
But what I'm saying is that I am like that. I have walked out domestic violence victims,
Mhm.
made sure that they got to their car, right?
100%. Yeah.
I've hired bodyguards to actually go and walk them out of court because I can't always watch everything
Oh, yeah.
while I'm arguing a case.
Right.
I have done that not just for women, but I've done that for men. And when I say that I go above and beyond for people, I do. And I want to make sure that our voters know that I will go above and beyond every time. And, if you want me to call you back, I'll call you.
Right.
Sometimes I always make a joke at the door and say, it may be at 12 o'clock at night because sometimes I forget what time it is. Because I go all night, researching things and looking things up.
Mhm.
But I know there's another state representative in this county. I know that I can go to her for help. And I know that I can talk to her about, just anything that's going on up at the Capitol. Because one thing that people don't understand is I don't know everything. You don't know everything, Larry. You don't know everything. I want to make sure.
I know a lot, but Tim helps me if I don't.
Well, there's experts, so many
What do you
experts in
expect?
our
He's Polish.
district.
I am Polish.
And I want, if somebody has more knowledge of that than I do, I'm going to actually ask them for that information.
Yeah.
Because that's a good thing to do, and always try to make sure that we're researching things and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, guys. If you hear us pause while we're talking, Kristina's responding, everything like that.
I'm whispering in their ears.
I want everybody to know, one, Tim's whispering in our ears, talking about things going on.
Doing production
But
notes.
also,
Yeah.
we're reading chat and keeping abreast of what people are saying in chat. We have to read that while we're still paying attention. Listen, this is, if anybody knows anything about multitasking, the amount of multitasking that we do on the show, and I require that of my guests sometimes where they're chatting and doing this stuff. They're trying to have a stream of consciousness and share a thought. Okay. And I'm checking with this, and I want you to know, sometimes we pause because we're seeing something either in chat or we're hearing something from Tim, who's trying to be logistic and make sure we're flowing with the show. I want everybody to realize out there, we're doing something that is not a normal conversation down at the bar in the man cave where we're just talking and we don't have any logistical dynamics involved. There's times when we have to read this, look at this, and then assess it.
It's raw and unfiltered.
It's raw and unfiltered, and we have to
and politically incorrect.
And we come up with the dynamics. So there's a couple things going on in chat.
Yeah.
We may or may not address them. I am 100% with you, Kristina, and I've said this multiple times with you at events, but also separately, touting your characteristics is that there is a very fine balance between enough ego to think that you can represent people and enough humility to realize that it is a sometimes thankless job. It is a sometimes
well, there's some
desperate.
people.
Yeah.
There's some people that you try to reach out to them as much as possible, and they won't listen to what your advice is, and so they fail.
Right.
And so you have to go back. And there's been times that I've actually called them back and said, come on, let's try this again. There's what people don't realize is that civilian law is completely different than military.
And I think you're vaguely addressing something in the chat.
Correct. Yeah.
100%.
And I want to make sure that people understand that, you can't, if somebody doesn't take the advice that you give, you can't do anything for them. And
yeah,
you want to put specific things out there. I can't go, and I have a privacy issue. My ethics are very near and dear to my heart. Until I'm dead.
Yep.
Even after I'm dead, I have to take those to the grave, and you're not going to get those.
I'm going to give you 2 case in points. I had a lady that was, they hired us to redo their whole
And I don't
deck.
want to die tonight, by the way.
No, I had a lady that hired my company, me personally, my company, JSG Construction, to come and redo their deck. It was through my superintendent at the time. Hired us, we came in and we redid their deck. While we're there, they said, hey, can you redo our front door?
Yeah.
I go to redo their front door and it's rotted. The threshold's rotted, everything's rotted. It should have been replaced. A 2-hour job of replacing this front door or correcting this front door turned into 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I cited the issues that were going on. Quit rubbing on your throat, Dan.
Sorry.
He doesn't have his normal pack.
You're gonna send me anything, it's gotta be Facebook.
Yeah, I know. Larry sent it to me
You
on
can't
Facebook.
text me, I'm not in front of my
Anyway, so I get a call back a couple weeks later. Our door won't open right. Okay. I come back. I'm like, listen, I charged you the bare minimum hourly rate to fix your door. Your door was garbage. I replaced the threshold, I replaced all this stuff. And it was just a little tweak on the door. She was just as negative as can be.
Mm-hmm.
Just expecting to have a negative issue. I'm like, we were hired to do your deck. Your deck is now gorgeous. You asked us to do additional work. We did the additional work. Stairs in the garage, the front door. No matter what we did, she was not going to be happy. Should have replaced the whole front door mechanism, everything. Right?
Right.
But I tried to repair the whole front door.
And some
Got this
people you
negative
can't
thing.
make happy.
Yep. There was another time where people asked us to come in and do a whole bunch of work for them. I said, here's the rate. Here's the thing. We go over that. I explained to them, we've encountered some difficulties. Here's where it is. Here's what it is. You hand them a bill with the additional hours because it took longer because there was more stuff that we discovered.
Upset
This
about
is
that?
ridiculous. How can you charge me this much? I'm like, because I showed you when we were doing it that quite literally, I know some of the family members are watching. It's fucked up. Okay. Did I say that softly enough? Things were messed up. I told you if we encountered issues, we would have to deal with them as we went through. There are people, to answer some of the chat, there are people that would say that I am not a good carpenter or didn't do a good job. You walk into the man cave,
There's only 17.
you cite some of my biggest clients that I've ever had, they would disagree with you. But there are some people who would say that no matter what happens, it could have been done better.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know you've encountered that with people that they're, and this is what you were alluding to,
Correct.
is that you make the phone calls back, you do this, but what comes out in the public is, well, she didn't do a good job for me. Well, did you do a good job for yourself?
Right. And if you don't take my advice,
Yeah.
a lot of times you're not going to do very well. And you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it.
Well, and what do they say? What's the meme, Larry? You can lead a Democrat to the truth, but you can't make them understand it.
Believe it.
I don't know. I have an old saying that I've said for years: is you can lead a liberal to an education, but you'll never make one think.
That's the one I was thinking of.
But I will say this.
Yeah.
You know, when you have somebody that actually becomes a non-drug dealer illegally, right, and becomes a medical pharmacist because of the things that we've done in my office and help this person not be another statistic.
Right.
You get the good feeling about this is what happens when you do something good for people.
100%.
Right? Another person came in about 2 weeks ago, actually 4 weeks ago, said, I'm going to be a sane nurse because of you, because you saved my life, because of the fact she's not being molested any longer.
That's huge.
So there are a lot of people that I've done a lot of good things for. And you're right. Some people will never, ever be happy. But the point is that I just get up the next day Is everybody happy with what Trump does?
No,
No.
I didn't
But
like
you know
what he
what?
did with Warp Speed. I didn't like some of the gun things. I didn't like.
But the thing of it is,
Yeah.
what, you know, does he get up in the morning
But he's the
and
man.
go help again?
Yep.
Yes.
He's
Same
the,
thing
he's
here.
the Make America Great.
And he does a good job.
drive.
And you know what? Sometimes people, instead of trying to pick on other people and to try to be zealous on that issue, maybe instead they should take a look at themselves and say, what have I done in the community?
Isn't that the dynamic? And we'll do this and then we'll do final thoughts. Probably I'll let Larry go first so I can get that out of the way.
You didn't get to your last phrase, did you?
I want to give Dan. Do you got a last? Let me do this. So here's the thing: when you judge a tree by its fruit, it's the totality of the fruit. I have 4 apple trees in the yard. We judge that. My mother-in-law came down the other day and grabbed an apple, and she comes up, walking up to the man cave, and she's eating an apple. I'm like, it's not even ripe. She's like, well, I'm tasting it. I'm like, that's for the geese and the deer to eat later. You know, you judge a tree by the totality of its fruit, by that dynamic. You don't judge a tree by one piece of fruit. You judge it by the fruit, the overall fruit. And I don't even want to cast aspersions across the board with everybody running. But overall, your fruit has a ripeness.
Thank you.
That is palatable. I like Dominic. I've had Bob on the show. I've had Jason on the show. I don't have anything personally against them. There are things that have come out that bother me with Bob and Jason. With Dominic, nothing but inexperience.
But Kristina's the fruitiest.
But Kristina is a badass on
Think
this. And
I mean, that's where my mind went. I mean,
the more I've gotten to the more I've gotten to know you, the more testimonials I've heard third party without any influence from you. I say, well, I'm supporting Kristina. Oh, she helped me here.
Oh, it's good to hear.
You know? And you're always going to have these disgruntled people that you can't help. I've done church counseling for 25 years. People sit in your office. You tell them what you believe they should do to be a better person, to overcome whatever difficulty they're doing. And just as you said, you leave it with them to execute. And if they don't execute, I think the number one thing that we're dealing with in our society is you've got people on the left who won't take responsibility and people on the right who want to project their responsibility to somebody else if they don't own it. If they own it, they're successful. If they don't own it, they look to point at and go, well, you didn't represent me. Whereas the left won't even take any responsibility or assess it. They just go, you're wrong. Listen, I don't wear cat ears. I don't do all sorts of weird. They're calling us weird right now, right? Right? JD Vance is weird. Oh, because he doesn't wear dresses and pretend to be a girl? I guess that is weird. My bad. Because he doesn't go to the Olympics and dress up as a blue Smurf during the mock ceremony of the Last Supper? Yes, that is weird. My bad. I didn't realize what weird is today is not doing a satanic ritual at the Olympics or the Oscars or the music awards. That's weird. If we do that, that's normal. Being a normal person who represents people, who fights for people, that's weird. That's fundamentally wrong. So I'm looking at all these dynamics, and I understand we have to battle this. I don't like it. You don't like it. None of us like it. But we've had to make a distinction in the conservative sphere, the Republican sphere, apply our grassroots, apply our fundamental independent dynamics to who do I want to represent me? Because I don't want anybody to represent me. I'm my own person. If somebody's going to represent me, then they're going to be 100% what I think. Well, you're never going to have somebody that's 100% what you think.
You never are.
Never. So find the person that is aligned with you 90%, 80%, who's going to be the person that appreciates and understands your values. But fundamentally, whose ego is not big and is so large that they can't listen to your heart. You, Kristina, as an attorney, and I will go on record, the only two attorneys that three attorneys. One of our other listeners, I met her husband. He helped. You know what he helped with? The response letter.
Oh, yeah.
There are only 3 attorneys in my life that I absolutely love. And if I have any difficulties, I know their expertise. A lot of times attorneys get a slanderous or and rightfully so on a lot of dynamics. They get a label of being conniving and not having a moral compass. You are not that.
Thank you.
Dan is not that. Our other friend, who will remain nameless tonight, even though you know who I'm talking about, is not that.
Yeah.
Right.
Help with that restraining order. Yeah. With the
I want to say this.
Yeah.
I just was recently endorsed by the Michigan, what was it?
Michigan Association for Justice.
Yes. We just got that letter yesterday. So
100%.
I was very happy about that.
So
Only candidate.
And so that's my dynamic is looking at this is you have to find the people that are not 100% aligned with you. You have to find the people that are 100% genuine.
You know, I said that to a door today.
And listen to what you have to say.
I said, we're not always going to agree. But one thing is, I will always listen to you.
100%.
And
sorry, go ahead.
And I will always make time to get back with you.
Yeah.
And make sure that you understand what I'm talking about.
What are you going to say, Tim?
I'll take real
over
right.
Genuine. Real over right.
Over right.
Real over right. That's
no
a
matter
great
where
quote.
you're coming from. If you're trying to be real, I'll take real over right.
Real over right.
8 out of 10 times.
8 out.
And I would just say this:
80%.
I don't think Dan got to his last point. Did you want to
get your last
I was
point?
waiting for
There's
one
a couple
more.
things.
Is there one more thing, Dan?
Give me a quick wrap.
There was a question up there for you, Dan. I wanted to.
Not really.
Mike for America, that last one.
No.
Well, I think we have mentioned on the corruption. One of the things I remember, and I started getting to it about some of the problem is they had the backroom deal I mentioned.
Yeah.
That's
which between
the
Bob
corruption.
and Jason, I'll just say it like it was.
Another way,
and the people
game
involved with it in the cliques.
Yes.
I think we started off the whole
That's
show with highlighting the fact that there's
and that affected
money outside the county that's influencing the county.
LCRP.
Yeah.
LCR what?
LCRP. You
Livingston
had,
County Republican
yes,
Party.
we had.
Yes.
I remember on our honeymoon,
Yes.
getting a phone call. I won't say who it was.
Hopefully, that wasn't the most memorable part of your honeymoon.
No, it wasn't, but it's something that I didn't want to have. And I just say I didn't like how that went down and what they did and what they did to Jen.
Within an hour of me being told that there was no involvement by this person.
Yeah, right after. Yeah.
And I just thinking this was right around the same time this deal happened.
Mm-hmm.
After the former chair resigned, because of media showing up. That's something that was mentioned in the papers, so that's why I'll say that. After that happened, it was around the same time you had the Bob Jason deal. Bob had a blistering public letter out on email on this person, which some people got.
That email?
That was an email afterward. That was a blistering one that wasn't needed.
Why are we saying this person? We love them, right?
We love the person that the email was sent out to.
Is there a reason why we're not saying that name?
Yes, this person has to remain.
We're gonna, until we bring out the actual email on a future show.
Okay. That person's amazing. Okay. That's all
the person we know and we love, but the email that was sent out that Dan was referring to,
copy that.
I read the email and I don't throw up.
Yeah.
Like on call. Like I don't just regurgitate everything like that.
Right.
But I was extremely disgusted.
Yeah.
by the email that was sent out.
He had to swallow a couple times.
And this person, like I say, no one, I don't say no one, after the last election and with the turnover with LCRP,
Mhm.
the person who became chair had a very difficult situation. It was a no-win situation. I wanted nothing to do with being the chair because I knew what was going to happen at that time.
Go ahead. Keep going. Dan.
And Mike, you're wrong. I know you're protecting Bob. I get it. Yeah, I said that.
No, it's
But
You're I understand what you're saying, Mike. No corruption. No, there is corruption. Literally just pointed out at the beginning of the show who's putting money into other campaigns for this district. So it's not hearsay.
and I recall. Go ahead.
This is the problem that we're having here in our county is we can't just call a spade and say who changed their address, who said they weren't going to run and then jump back in and didn't answer questions. We're saying, oh, okay.
But you have circle the wagons for the clicks. And until the clicks get solved, and until that happens, you're going to have more corruption. You're going to have more corruption, more silk in the wagons, more divisiveness, and this has been done. It's been brewing for a long time.
This has been doing. You remember the past election with Mike. Same thing. All that money poured in. What we're just saying is enough is enough. Let's try to. I mean, we got so much. This
and it was
50th
wrong when it
district.
happened to Mike.
It should have never happened this way. Lansing shouldn't be involved in this.
Right.
And when I say let's keep Lansing interest out, let's keep them out. This is a beautiful county, beautiful people, and we need to make sure of that. And after this election is over with, Mike, I would love to sit down with you. I would love to sit down with everyone. I think we need some mediation with all the parties involved.
Mhm.
And I also believe this, that both chairs and everyone needs to come together and I'm not saying fist it out or anything, but I'm saying let's get a mediator.
That's how we do it in
like
hockey.
Hank Vaupel. He could be a great mediator for us. And I think it would be wonderful to hash this out because what's our main goal? We want Trump in. We want our constitutional rights. We want to make
take
sure.
back America,
Correct.
America and Michigan
Trump,
as a red
Tom Barrett, and our Senate nominee.
100%.
And let's not forget to vote for Kristina Lyke, please.
Livingston
Already
Lyke.
did.
We're going to do this. Larry, final thoughts over here. Sign my paper, Larry, with a colorful
Final
pen.
thoughts. Get out and vote.
Get out
The
and vote.
primary election, to me, most important election.
It is.
So you got to get out there and vote. I don't want to hear any mantras about voting red because in a primary election, everybody you're voting for is running on a Republican ticket. They're red, even if they're pink or leaning blue in some cases. You want to keep the libtards off the Republican ballot.
And I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. I also
Yeah.
want to thank too, all the people that answer their doors, and just thank all my volunteers, all the volunteers that's helped us with the campaign. Thank you
huge.
guys. I mean, I believe the Lyke
Huge.
team has the best volunteers ever. And I will say this, please get out there and vote for Kristina Lyke. We need to have someone in there to work for all of us and someone who's going to be there at all times. So I
Yeah.
think everyone, please get out there. Livingston likes Lyke.
Absolutely,
Let's vote for
100%.
Kristina. Let's not vote for Lansing interest. Let's not vote for Matt Hall
Give me a
or
different
Matt
color.
Maddock
Give
or
me that color.
whoever else is putting money in to be speaker.
100%. And I want to address this real quick before. Is your final thought, Dan?
That's mine.
Kristina, you good on final thoughts?
I'm good.
All right, you guys are awesome. And I want to say this is that I understand what you're saying, Mike, out there. And I don't want to dismiss you or discount you, but the fact is, when you are an honorable person, like Kristina or President Trump, you minimize your criticism because you do not go overboard to try to slander or make somebody else look worse to make yourself look better. President Trump has endorsed people that we at the table find abhorrent. Mike Rogers, a neocon warmonger. Okay. He has endorsed other people. I want to understand that when you level a criticism for somebody, you do it very succinctly, and then you step back and wait for the dust to settle. You don't go for the jugular and lay out all of the information. I know these two, as lawyers, have been in the courtroom. They lay out a strategy for defense. They don't show all their cards. Tonight, they brought flyers. They shared the flyers at the beginning of the top of the show and said, here's what's going on. Enough information to give you your own opportunity to do your own research. The facts are, do your own research now that you've been given enough information to go and do your own research. If we have to spell it out for everybody in our audience, then I'm not entrusting you to have your own information, your own integrity to be able to search it out. I never want to spoon feed people. I want to give you a steak or a dinner or whatever it is and let you cut it and feed yourself. That's my problem with sometimes with our audience is people, you got to tell me everything, you got to spell everything out for me. No. I gave you enough information for you to go figure it out for yourself.
Right.
You had a problem with me, I'm not saying generally in the audience, at the beginning of the show. Here's the NIV. Here's the King James. Tim, go to that, please, sir. If you don't like the NIV, here it is, Hebrews chapter 7. Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up his prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, was heard in that he feared, though he were a son, yet learned obedience from what he suffered, and being made perfect, became the author of eternal salvation unto those all who obey him.
Being made.
Made perfect.
As though he was
So when you
not
tell me
perfect
that
prior
Christ
to
was
that.
not perfect, I'm only reading the scriptures that say that perfection doesn't come from being born sinless. Perfection comes from experience of life and identifying with people. You got a problem with that? You got a problem with scripture because I just read scripture. Can't go beyond scripture. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Same thing we're doing tonight on the show. We're presenting ideas and having a conversation. A conversation. A conversation should invoke investigation. The conversation is not meant to invoke obstinance. The conversation is meant to invoke investigation on your own to come to your own conclusions. Our representatives originally were in the churches and the pubs or the
Saloons, taverns.
taverns. That's the word I was looking for. The taverns and the churches during the time of our founding fathers. Those are the two places that communities met and had discussions. From that, they appointed people to represent them. From those people that they appointed to represent them locally, those representatives then chose other people to represent them on graduating scales, state, national.
You know,
I love to sit here with you guys.
just want to let you know this
Yeah.
too. Why do we want to make it more divisive?
I don't. I
Right.
want to
No,
a peacemaker.
what I'm saying is that we gave enough facts, like you said, do your research.
Mhm.
We gave you enough. Now you guys make the claim and you go out there and vote. You look at what you have here and do your research. I believe that you'll find that the answer in your research, right?
100%. 100%.
And one more point, just because you and I disagreed about Jesus being perfect, you're not gonna not like me, and I'm not gonna not like you.
But
But That's what I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just like it.
But just like it. But that's what I'm saying is people took the way that I phrased it, and
I understand what I'm trying to
And
say
I'm
is
saying-
that we both disagreed on something, but you still love me.
I
still-
clarified it.
You know.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that it just because somebody disagrees on something doesn't mean that we have to not like the person.
And people interpret that
right?
and go, "Oh, you don't think Jesus was perfect? You're an apostate." And I go, I read the scripture and did some studying on it, dove into the Greek,
The
and
word
found
perfect.
out I'm like,
The word perfect means completed.
completed.
In
Thank
other
you.
words,
Thank you.
means it's
So
a
once
journey.
again, we have
okay,
this
Larry?
dynamic where people don't understand words.
Yeah. The
what's
context of that
perfect? And I go,
completed means
listen.
he completed his journey. He was freaking 13 years old,
I've
and
sat
he needed to complete those lessons.
I sat with my two grandfathers, my grandpa Gibbs and my grandpa Soika, through my childhood, but then also at the end of their lives. I wish I would have recorded more of what they said, imparting wisdom to me. Were they completed? Should I use that terminology better, as Tim has clarified? Were they completed? No. But they were learning obedience from what they suffered. And even that word "suffered" in the Greek has a dynamic to it. It's not just what you suffered, but more of what you experience.
And I always appreciate what you.
People go to the gym and they say pain trains, but then they go, "What you mean pain for Jesus didn't train him?" 100%. If he was going to be 100% human as well as 100% divine, then he had to learn, as it says in Hebrews, verse 8, yet learned obedience from what he suffered. And once made complete, correcting terminology, became the author of eternal salvation.
And he did suffer for all of us.
100%.
On the cross.
And if we don't understand that we need to be perfected through our experiences, through our interactions and reflections from other people, listen, if I interact with you, interact with all the people around me,
Mm-hmm.
and I do something that hurts you or whatever affects you, I need to assess that. And
you
in
need to come to
assessing
me.
that, I become more complete because I understand you.
Right.
Jesus was with the people 100%. And if we can't acknowledge these things, guys, come on, we've got to have more mercy and grace to understand that people are growing and learning and moving forward in all these things. And that scripture is huge. It's huge. Thank you, guys. Give me overhead, Tim.
Tap your pack.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I
Thank you,
appreciate you
Larry.
guys so
Thank you.
much.
You're welcome. Thanks
Thanks,
for coming.
Ted.
Thank you, Tim.
Tune in tomorrow night, everybody. We have a great show coming.
We're going to do a little post-election stuff. We're going to be going in at 8. What is your pack? Somebody smack their pack.
Somebody smack your pack.
It
Get
was
out there and
Larry's
vote.
pack.
Yeah.
We're going to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I appreciate all the comments in there. I love it. The only thing I don't love all the time is some of the comments would be better off in a private discussion, and I love being one-on-one.
Correct.
Talk to me one-on-one, everything like that. But even Mike, I don't want to dissuade you from ever commenting, but I want you to understand that sometimes there are things that we could discuss better
Privately.
privately.
My dissuasion is my job.
I know you chimed in. Appreciate you so much, Kristina,
Thank
for
you so
coming
much.
on. You know I love
Appreciate
you.
you.
Has
sweetheart.
everyone signed?
Good luck,
Big Dan.
Kristina.
Everybody signed.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate
We will
you.
see
Always
tomorrow
good
how
to
this
see
all
you
out. Whoever becomes our nominee, I'm voting for Kristina. We're going to see and we'll back the candidate that the people have chosen. Hopefully everybody's invested and well informed, and we'll move forward from that. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow night. It's a juggernaut, Larry.
We got a lot of stuff we're going to cover.
We'll be coming post-election stuff tomorrow.
The Commie Harris market crash we're going to cover.
We will be
And-
covering the huge stock market crash. I literally sent out multiple information about the S&P crashed on Thursday,
Well, it was like less than 3%.
and then
wasn't it?
the
Well, a
stock
whole
market
bunch of
has
them
started to
crashed.
crash on.
Yeah.
Where did
on-
it stop? I was watching. Was it more than 3%?
Well, it was huge because not only was that it was the NASDAQ, but it was also coming out of Japan. Japan's economy has almost
All the other countries
imploded.
got hit majorly. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. economy because
And,
of the
and
inflation.
this is something that Trump has talked
Yeah.
about. He said, look, if we don't understand this dynamic of, he said, I hope that it crashes before I'm in office. He didn't mean that I hope everything crashes. That was
Right.
not his sentiment. He was saying I hope this crashes before because I can fix it if everything's crumbled. I can fix it easier. If it's in the midst of crumbling, it's going to be more difficult. But as a businessman, he knows what he's doing. So we'll be covering that tomorrow, 8:00 Eastern time here on This Is My Brain podcast. Tim, take it away. I am done because I pontificated way
That's
too
fine.
much.
Fighting
And
with chat.
Christina, Dan, and Larry, thank you all so much for being
Thank you.
here. And
I would go to the overhead, but it's
You guys
doing
have a
this.
great night.
Yeah, awesome.
This is my brain.
Dad, that's an egg.
Yeah, that's an egg.
Honey,
Dude,
that's an egg.
seriously.
That's an egg. It's a metaphor.
It's still an egg.
That's an egg.
I would challenge you.
That's an egg.
I know my brain is not actually an egg, okay? It's a metaphor.
Metaphor or not, that's not your brain.
It's just an egg.
Una cerveza para mí. My egg is my brain.
Can I at least have some bacon, maybe some sausage with that egg, though?
Oh, I want some bacon.
I want crepes.
Have some bacon and pancakes with that egg.
I'll take it with cheese.
Extra large brown cage-free eggs.
Can I have your brain with hot cakes?
A little sausage and a little toast and potato.
That would be great.
Does it have antibiotics?
I don't know, man. I'm not good at this shit.
Well, they got to be able to resist some diseases.
You resist the disease.
Has it got any hormones?
Maybe. It's cage free.
Vegetarian?
Maybe.
Are they vegan?
No, I eat steak.
Never apologize and never explain.
Never apologize.
Never apologize and never explain.